There are many things that can destroy your chances of doing well. We live in a dangerous world, which means you must be not only wise, but also careful. And attitude diseases are deadly. They can wipe out every good thing you begin. So, let's go through those attitude diseases, how to recognize them, how to spot them, what they are, and how to cure them. And I can speak on these with experience because I've had every one of them. So I can give you solid advice on this. Here's the list of attitude diseases. Number 1 is indifference, that shrug of the shoulder. The person isn't even concerned. He's just drifting through life. And there's one problem with drifting. You cannot drift to the top of the mountain. The person says, well, I just can't see myself getting that worked up. But if you want to become any kind of winner, you must get worked up. Here's the key to the good life. Learn to put everything you've got into everything you do. Whatever you're doing, give it. Everything, pour it on. It will either quickly open the door to opportunity or quickly reveal to you that you should be doing something else. The illusion is, if I had a better job, then I'd really give it my all. That's the delusion. Wherever you are, give it everything you've got. That's what helps change your life. Get rid of this disease. Here's the next attitude disease: indecision, mental paralysis. The person can't make up his mind, and eventually it becomes a disease. Before long, he knows he has it. He says, well, I know I'm sitting on the fence. But then he says, what if I get off on the wrong side? Listen, after a while, it doesn't even matter, just get off. Any side will do. The best way to live is one way or the other. That's the best way. Choose a direction and go with everything you have. Just pick one and go. Someone says, yay, but what if it's the wrong direction? Then you'll find out faster. A life filled with adventure is a life filled with decisions. And the decisions that turn out wrong give you the experience to make better decisions next time. So don't see how many decisions you can avoid, see how many you can step into. That's where the adventure is. So shake off this disease of indecision. The next one is doubt. Doubt is like a plague. And one of the worst forms of it is self-doubt. There are many kinds, but self-doubt is one of the worst. The person doubts himself. Doubts whether things will last for him. Doubts whether he can do that well. Doubts whether he can earn that much. Doubts whether he can accomplish all of that. A person can become a chronic, highly skilled self-doubter. And you can imagine the damage that does to your future. So here's the key. Turn the coin over and become a believer. There are many things worth believing in, and one of the greatest is yourself. Understanding your own self-worth is the beginning of progress. Now, if those first 3 don't get you, this next one will worry. Worry is a devastating disease. Worry creates health problems, social problems, personal problems, and family problems. It is absolutely destructive. If you worry long enough, it can bring you to your knees. It can reduce you to begging. I know how dangerous this one is because I used to suffer from it badly. I used to be a super worrier, not a super warrior. A super worrier. My family wished I had been a warrior. I've got those years to make up for. But I'll tell you this. My advice to you is to do what I finally did. With worry, give it up. Who needs it? I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's worth it. It took me almost a full year to break the habit of worrying. And it was not an easy year. In fact, it was one of the toughest years I ever went through. But I finally got that monkey off my back. And what I discovered was this: you can live an incredible life free from worry. Not free from challenges, not free from difficulty. Free from worry. I learned how to do it, and you can too. Here's the next. Attitude disease, overcaution. Some people will never have much because they are simply too cautious. Now, you can also be too reckless, but you can absolutely be too cautious. This is what I call the timid approach to life. And for me, caution always came down to risk. Risk used to drive me up the wall. I used to say, what if this happened? That's called the language of the poor. What if this happens? And then on top of that, what if this also happened? Look at the mess I'd be in. I better not even try. I could always talk myself right out of action. But I'll tell you what changed my entire life. I finally discovered that it's all risky. The moment you were born, life became risky. If you think trying is risky, just wait until you get the bill for not trying. If you think investing is risky, wait until you see the cost of not investing. It's all risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Starting a business is risky. Investing your money is risky. It's all risky. Let me tell you how risky life is. You're not getting out alive. That's risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's how it's going to work out, then let's give it a go. Exactly. That's what life is for. Give it a go, someone says. Yay, but I'm looking for safety and security. Fine, then, huddle yourself into a corner. We'll cover you with a sheet, bring you 3 meals a day, protect you, feed you, watch over you, and take care of you. We won't let anything happen to you, and you'll probably live to be 100. Then the person says, well, yes, I'd live to be 100, but what a way to live. Exactly. What a way to live safe and secure. Don't ask for security. Ask for adventure. Better to live 30 years full of adventure than 100 years hidden safely in the corner. Here's the next attitude disease. We're almost through this motley list. In fact, we're getting close. So hang on. The next one is pessimism. Pessimism, the deadly disease of always looking at the bad side, the problem side, the difficult side, constantly checking for all the reasons why something can't be done. The poor pessimist lives an ugly life. He doesn't try to figure out what's right. He tries to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't search for virtue. He searches for faults. And when he finds them, he's delighted. How ugly is that? This is the poor soul who looks out the window and doesn't see the sunset. He sees the specks on the glass. And this is the person who rushes in, completely losing perspective, and says, I've got 5 good reasons why it won't work. He's so foolish he doesn't realize he only needs 1, but he's got 5. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Why does the exact same measure affect 2 people in 2 completely different ways? The answer is simple. It all depends on how you choose to look at it. Our lives are shaped far more by the way we think things are than by the way they actually are. It is not reality alone that affects us. Most, it is our perception of reality. The way we think things are has the greatest influence on our lives. There's a subject we don't have time to dive into tonight called better thinking habits. One of the most important things Shof taught me when I first met him was this. Poor thinking habits keep most people poor, not poor working habits. Most people are willing to work hard, but they are not willing to think hard. And Shof taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. Whatever you allow yourself to think about all day long pours ingredients into that mental factory. And those ingredients are what build the economic, social, and financial fabric of your life. As you think, so you become. What a powerful truth. When he began talking to me about poor thinking habits, he had my full attention. I used to start every morning by reading the newspaper. You can believe it or not, but I would grab a cup of coffee and sit down with the paper. I would fill my mind with wars, riots, murders, stabbings, killings, bank robberies, muggings, car crashes, and tragedies. I would even read the back pages. For some strange reason, I seemed to enjoy that kind of stuff. I would load all of that into my mind, and then I would go out and begin my day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. You end up walking around on your financial knees. They start calling you an economic peewee. A man says, "I want to become a great leader." Wonderful. The first thing we should do is follow him to his house. And when we get there, we walk inside and inspect his library. That's the first thing. Someone says, "Why check his library?" Because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You wouldn't believe the kind of things some people keep in their homes to read. You simply wouldn't believe it. One of the best dressed up words I know for much of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into your mental factory every single day and expecting to come out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try baking a cake with cement. I was speaking to some students back at Danbury, Connecticut High School one day, and they were asking me questions. Kids ask good questions these days. One of them said to me, "Mrs. Maya, how do you build the good life?" I said, "It's simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. Here's how you build anything. Choose the right ingredients. Keep out the wrong ingredients, and it all begins with thought. Everything begins with thought. So you must be wise and careful about what you allow yourself to think about, because that is where everything starts." I asked the kids, "What would happen if someone dropped sugar into my coffee?" They said, "Well, you'd be okay." I said, "What if someone dropped strychnine into my coffee?" They said, "Well, you'd be dead." I said, "Correct." Lesson 1. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You have to be careful. I said, "What if my worst enemy drops in the sugar?" They said, "Well, you'll be okay." I said, "What if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine?" They said, "Well, you'd be dead." I said, "Correct." Lesson 2, watch your coffee. You have to be careful. It doesn't matter who gives you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It will still damage your bank account, no matter the source, wherever you get it from. Mr. Schoaf gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him. He said, "Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind." How important that is. Stand guard at the door of your mind and decide what is allowed into your mental factory. Don't let anyone dump just anything into your mental factory, because you have to live with the results. All right, here is the last disease, and we are done with this list. The last subject is very brief, but this disease is deadly. If you engage in it, even slightly, you might as well forget the future, because it will forget you. Complaining, crying, whining, griping a Bible word called murmuring. That will destroy your future. Spend 5 minutes complaining, and you have wasted 5 minutes. And you may have started what is known as economic cancer of the bone. It will soon carry you off into a financial desert where you are left to choke on the dust of your own regret. I hope I said that well enough so you won't forget it. It is a deadly disease. Just stay alert to the things that can destroy everything good you begin. The war is on. And this evening, tomorrow, mentally, personally, socially, economically, you must make sure you are winning the war. And this is part of it.